Hey, Drew, why don't you just give us your overall assessment of Saturday? What happened Saturday?
It was a rough day. It just was a rough day in a lot of ways. Obviously, when you're playing a team that I think you could argue uh, is at least in the one of the top two defenses we played against, um, and we just didn't play well, and when you do that, it gets magnified, and every little deficiency gets magnified. So, um, when you get kicked in the gut like that as a coach, you feel like, man, I didn't do a good job. I didn't do a good job putting them in good situations. And, and then there were times where we had great opportunities and we just didn't execute in those moments, because when you get beat 35 to nothing, you go, well, that was an absolute beatdown. But there's moments in the first quarter where if you just hit this or execute this a little better and the game's close, and you keep it, you get a score and it's 7-7, it's a 10-7 game, that kind of thing. It just changes everything, right? So, um, it was disappointing. I'm disappointed myself, because I want to obviously we want to score points, and but I'm not discouraged, okay, because I do know what we're capable of, when we play well. And that's the thing. And our guys do too. Nobody's more disappointed than our players. And they do a great job taking responsibility. And as coaches, we got to take responsibility about what can we do differently. There's guys that didn't get the ball that need to get it more. I got to get Eli the ball more. I got to get Chad the ball more. And it's certainly tough, to lose your starting quarterback. But we have faith in Braxton, and some things just didn't come together. So just a rough day, just rough day, that we gotta bounce back from, learn from, and improve.
How much do you attribute this to their defensive coordinator being very familiar with option style offense? He shut out. He was part of a shutout of Navy in 2020. He was part of a shutout of Army while at Troy. Um,
Mhm.
he clearly knows what he's doing.
He's a good football coach. They do a great job. Coach Gass, he's part of that, tree of defensive guys that go back to Wofford, and with Coach, Woody, who's now at Army, and so they have a lot of history with that coaching tree. That's going to include Shield Wood, who's at Houston now, and Nate Fuqua, all those guys coming from that same spot there under Coach Woody. So great, they do a great job. We knew they were going to do a great job defensively. They've been doing a great job all year. They have good players. They have them playing hard. They're sound, and they just lined up and played. And there were some times where you just get whipped, but there's other times where we did a poor job with leverage. We did a poor job fitting some things. Um, and there's times where it's like, man, I could have had a better play called there for sure. But then there's other times where we've got to execute better. So it's both, but we're certainly gonna we have a lot of respect for the coaches at Tulane, and they do a great job. At the same time, we can control us, and we just didn't do a very good job as a whole.
So I know. I mean, obviously, going into the game, you knew their knowledge of the option and that they would defend it well. So I'm sure you had some wrinkles set up, some different things you thought you could go to that they might not be so familiar with. But when you don't pick up the first down and you're not advancing on a possession, it's hard to get into any kind of rhythm and to use one play to set up another. Can you talk about how frustrating that is?
Well, I think I think that's a very I think you're making a good observation. It's is a offensively, um, the ability to gain three more plays, right? The ability to get a first down, and it's so fragile because you want to get to the next thing, right? And there's sequencing that goes on, and so we shot ourselves in the foot a little bit there. Obviously Blake went down. Well, we had a 1st and 10 in that moment. And then the very first play, we get a false start. And it's just when you're playing against a really good team, you can't be in 1st and 15, 2nd and 12. It's just that's tough. So uh, we didn't help ourselves in some of those situations. And yeah, I mean, there's some more we could have got to. Uh, it's tough, we've got to have more sustained drives, more get another first down or two, gain another every first down, you get at least another 3 plays. And I think we only had 40, I think it was 45 offensive plays. So yeah, we need to be able to stay on the field a little bit more so maybe we can get to a few more things. But yeah, that would certainly getting some first downs, more first downs, and me being more patient, maybe easing into some things a little bit better to give us a chance to be in more third and shorts. We were in way too many third and longs, and that's not where we need to live.
Last for me before I pass it off to Scott. Um, in your entire college career as a coordinator and a head coach, have you ever been on the wrong side of a shutout?
Yeah, yeah, I have. I mean, last year in the playoffs against South Dakota State. Now they that was a tough one. South Dakota State was the best team in the country by far, won 2 national championships in a row, but that was a tough day. I mean, we've had tough days before. It's we'll bounce back. I mean, I'm not snake bit or anything like that. I mean, I've got to, if I'm going to be, a good football coach, I got to be able to look at things and figure it out and give our kids a better chance next time. And so it's part of it, and um, we're not going to win every game, and obviously, but we certainly needed to play better offensively because it was a tough day, and it was going to be hard regardless if you go out and play great. But I think if we give ourselves a chance, and you can see it too, confidence is such a important thing, and it's such a fragile thing. We're a team that if we start pretty good, we tend to kind of get going and get in the flow, and we just couldn't get anything going. Um, and that's tough on the young men, and it's a group of young men who are still learning, how to learning to win is challenging because there's a certain way you have to be all the time, and you got to when you get, if you're having a rough start, you got to believe that you're gonna start getting some things going. I'm not saying our guys don't believe that, but at the same time, uh, we've got to grow into the team that is resilient, right? That can overcome some adversity and get ourselves back going again. So that's something we're going to improve on. We're going to, and every time we get in that situation, it's an opportunity to learn and improve. But I'll say this: our kids are tough. They're great kids. They came back out, had a great lift on Monday, and then a practice. I mean, just attitude wise, or maybe the lift was yesterday. We gave them the day off Monday, but yesterday, and then had good energy at practice. So there's been there's a lot of teams that when you've been having success and then you go out and you struggle, they can't handle it at all. They just everything, the energy levels go down. That's not what I see at all. So that is awesome. That now we got to bounce back. Some people got to step up. Okay, and we got to go. We're going to be playing a hot team next Saturday. But hopefully a bye week, maybe a little healing, some different things, maybe some guys getting a few more reps here and there, and I think that's going to be good for us.
Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, you mentioned the frustration level about not being able to get the ball as much as you wanted to Eli and Chet. Is that something that they did, or was it something that you think you need to scheme a little differently that you can control?
Both. I think it's both. I think they do a good job with that. But at the same time, I've got to be probably a little more deliberate in some ways to make that easier. And that's something I've really that was Sunday. I just watching everything, I just thought, man, those are two playmakers that we've got to get more involved. And it's not always as easy as saying, all right, you can say that, and certainly defenses can key on certain guys. At the same time, I think I've got to do a better job with that. Got to do a better job.
When you talked about healing up and feeling better, when you've got a quarterback like Blake in the situation he's in, how easy do you go during a bye week, knowing that you don't have a game on Saturday, and I'm sure your confidence level with him running the offense is there, but that undetermined ability to get him healthy again. How do you work that on reps and things of that
Yeah,
sort?
we're certainly going to rest him a lot. Okay, and that helps you get other guys more reps and more confidence. So you got to look at, there's got to be a silver lining everywhere, right? So you certainly want to have your starter healthy and out there practicing, but at the same time, we understand that's not the case this week. So it's an opportunity to get those other guys, Braxton and Jackson, more comfortable, more reps, and build their confidence, right? So you gotta go with that, and whatever the situation is, somebody's got to improve. Whoever's getting the reps gets a chance to get better.
And what's your goal going into this bye week? We talked to Coach, and he said that each week, these different bye weeks has been kind of a different strategy. Offensively, what's your strategy going into this one?
Well, I think we got to. I don't know if it's just hit the reason, but let's kind of get ourselves leveled off here, and take a good look at, what makes us successful and then what at times has kept us from being successful. Is it things that we can correct or do, or is there some things we're asking them to do maybe we better stay away from and make sure we're asking them to do the things that they're good at, right? So there's a fine line. There's some things that let's just go improve them, and there's other things maybe we need to scale back, and get a little, because as the season goes on, especially with us, we have good smart kids, and we've got to be able to evolve and have wrinkles, and different things, because we don't need people to be able to just find us, right, and know exactly where we are. But at the same time, you can go down rabbit holes, too, that gets away from, what got you there, right? So there's a fine line. You got to do a little bit of both. You got to make sure you keep your base things really, really good and fundamentally sound, and then you're trying to stay ahead of the curve, as far as what are you adding or what are you tweaking or what little change up, right, it's going to be. So I hope, sometimes I'm guilty of during an open week, oh gosh, I got all this time, or you got more time. You start thinking, man, we can do this, 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 this. You got to be careful with that. So it's making sure we're continuing to try to stay ahead of the curve, but at the same time, be who we are and do the things we do well.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Flags. Flags, are you there?
Yes, sorry about that. I thought Scott would have asked more questions. So when Blake went out, when Blake went out of the game, it seemed like the offense kind of got deflated a little bit. And I mean, what are you concerned? I mean, in this system for years, you've always said that you need two quarterbacks ready to go. And in this instance, it didn't seem like when you switch quarterbacks that the offense was able to just, keep on playing through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about everything, all the time, whether we're scoring a bunch or not. But it's hard, it's a hard situation for Braxton to go into. When you're the backup, it's the backup quarterback is a tough job because you always got to prepare like the starter, and you never know when those moments are going to come, and so obviously, he wasn't probably as comfortable as we need him to be. But he also, his teammates have got to help him too, right? It's got to be both. They've got to rise up around him. And we had a couple chances to maybe catch a couple balls there, on the 2 4th downs. And they would have been really, really good catches. It wasn't easy it wasn't as simple as just saying, hey, somebody dropped the ball, but there were opportunities there. And then I felt like, we overthrew down the sideline. We missed that throw to Shane. which is just a missed opportunity there. Just threw it a little far, and so if you
Was
let's
there
take
an overthrow to Ken as well downfield?
maybe a little bit, but that was, to me, that was at that point, it was probably decided, right? When it was still in the balance. If those three plays, think about it this way: if those three plays are completions, and you continue drives, or you have what possibly could have been a touchdown, now maybe it's maybe we've scored 14 points. That's what's so, you can always go back and look at 4 or 5 things in a game and go, maybe if we just catch this one, or fit this one a little better, make this play, it changes the whole game. Like, I think back to the Memphis game, what play got us going, and then we really got on a roll. Heck, it was Scully catching that ball on a third and 9 down the hash on a vertical, right? And then it just we kind of got going. So sometimes it's about that. Maybe that, gets Braxton more comfortable. I played the what if game, all day Sunday, and but that's just momentum. And when you're playing against a really good team, that you're just, if you can just hang in there, and put pressure on them and make them have to make some decisions and make them have to deal with some things, then it changes a lot of things. And so I felt like maybe there were a few things there that could have got us going, and maybe gotten Braxton in a little more of a rhythm as well. So his teammates have got to help him, and then he's got to come in and relax and be ready to go. And I mean, we've all seen him have moments where, back in the spring or even the summer, he did some really good things, so we got to keep pointing that out, because he has a lot of ability, and it's just settling in and getting comfortable, and trusting yourself, and trusting the work that you put in.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What is your message to Braxton? Because obviously after the game, Coach Newberry expressed some disappointment and said, he's got to take charge of the offense. And, Braxton was there, and I asked him, and he said, I'm disappointed. I got to do better. I expect more out of myself. What's your message to him to, you can do this?
Yeah, we've challenged him, and we've pointed out, what he does well, and the things he can do well. And then I think you challenge him. You can't, you got to push folks, right? And you got to tell them the truth, but you also got to point out, man, look at this, look at the things you've done well. You can do it, right? And so 100%. I mean, it's he's going to have to help us win, right? At some point, he's going to have to help us win, and he can. That's the thing. And while we certainly wish it would have been a little cleaner Saturday, there's nothing we can do about that one now. We've got to continue to grow him and put him in good situations and put him in challenging situations, and make him deal with it, because he can do it. He can do it, and he's been in some hard situations last year. I mean, you think about the games he started. Getting thrown out there as a true freshman it's tough, when you do that and you play against. I mean, Air Force was really good on defense last year. The Charlotte game, I think about some of the things he's faced, and then this year, he did some good things, versus Bucknell, but obviously that's not the same level as going out against the Tulane defense, who is really, really good. So, it's like anything, man. I'm no different. The more success, the more you see things working, the better you feel like you can call it, right? Or the better you feel like you can game plan, and it's all the same, I think, for all of us. But at the same time, you can't go out there worried about making mistakes. You just got to go play fast, play free, trust yourself, and that's the message we're giving. We're challenging him. He knows he can do it. He knows he can play better. But there comes a time where, hey man, let's put it on the film. And so I've seen kids come around, the light bulb comes on, and we are going to keep coaching him, and he's going to get there. He's going to get there. I believe in him.
So obviously the team was playing with the offense, was playing with great confidence early in the season. Now you've had some setbacks. Rice was not a great game. There's some things in Notre Dame which were, not so good. And now this. Are you worried about the confidence?
I think we're taking a hit to the confidence a little bit, but I don't know if I'm, I like our players, and I remember them bouncing back after the Rice game. I thought that was a quality win versus South Florida. And I kind of feel like this is an opportunity to do the same thing. Get a little rested, get a little better, work on some fundamentals, and have a chance to go play a talented ECU team and get those things figured out. So I'm worried. I don't know. I'm worried about a lot of things. When we were doing well, I worried about us getting too, you're worried about all kinds of things. But the bottom line is, let's go get better and let's go play to the best of our ability. We can't control who we're playing. There's a lot of things you can't control. You can control yourself in trying to play at a certain level, no matter who you're playing against. That's what we expect them to do. And we're going to coach that way. We're going to game plan that way. And then we're going to expect our guys to go play at the very best of their ability next Saturday.
So you obviously, you look at stats and see Heidenreich only touched the ball twice, but again, 15 plays in the second half. It's hard to spread the ball around to your playmakers when you don't have plays to do it with.
Certainly. So like I said, we all got to be better. We've gotta, the bottom line is you got to get first downs. Like, you got to give yourself 3 more plays. If you just get 4 more first downs, that's a minimum of 12 more plays, which probably leads to really 20 more plays. Right. So now all of a sudden you're at 60 plays, and you want to be at 60 to 70. And so, we've got to be able to eliminate the negative plays and not put ourselves behind the sticks and go execute. Our players got to execute. I got a game plan. We got a coach. And we certainly have got to go do a better job. No question.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Wags, go back and read your 2006 Navy Rutgers story. We were 5-1, sold out.
I know, 12-0.
No. Brian Hampton goes down on either the first or second series, and we get beat 34-0. Couldn't make a first down the rest of the day. The only difference in that is Hampton was lost for the year. Lake is not. And that team settled down, lost to Notre Dame, and then won their last 4, including Army and the CIC. So we've been there before. Scott Wyckoff.
Who ended up taking over as quarterback, Jared?
Typo.
That's right.
Stress, you got an unbelievable memory. Amazing.
I can tell you what I did last night, and I can tell you about that.
You don't even know. You can't remember what you had for breakfast, huh?
No. Scott Wyckoff.
Yeah, Coach, we've been talking about what's going on currently with your team, but I know this is a big week when you have a bye week this late in the season for your future teams for recruiting. What's your plan this week, and how have you been immersing yourself with a new team in recruiting?
Well, I'm excited about our recruiting, very much so. Recruiting here is different, okay, and I'm learning a lot about that. And we bring in obviously more players, and you got guys going to the prep school, and guys coming in direct, and you're trying to find the right fit. Obviously it takes a special young man to come to school here. But the response has been, I think overall, obviously it was tough Saturday, but overall our improvement offensively, it's got a lot of recruiting exciting, right? And then I think our guys at the prep school, just went undefeated, right? So that bodes well. They just got after Army this past Army's prep school, right? So that bodes well for the future. So, going to check on those guys, that's our lifeblood, right? The prep school and those guys, just getting here, right? And continuing to develop and grow. I'm really proud of what they did up there this year. Just great job. And like I said, it's those guys really came together and it's special to go undefeated. Okay, so so you want to make sure you're touching that as well, right? You're keeping those guys. Hey man, just hang in there, keep doing a good job academically, keep lifting weights and developing, and get those guys here because that's going to be our next group of guys that help us, right? So those things are critical, and those are some things like you do in a bye week. You try to spend some more time, whether it's reaching out to phone calls or going back and evaluating some more guys, getting some senior film, and even looking to some 26s. I think we have a staff that does a great job recruiting. I have a smaller being a coordinator. I have a smaller area, so I don't have quite as much ground to cover. I've got about a third of Georgia, but then I try to be involved with a lot of our guys. Maybe we have committed, just making sure I'm reaching out to them. And I really like now we got to hang on to them. That's you got to hang on to them. But it's a great group. And we've got to, I think where we've got to grow our depth, right, offensively, and that's at every position, and because we need to be able to weather, the bumps and bruises that you get throughout the season. It's tough to play 13 games, right, this with the same 11 guys or same 15 guys. So I think that's the area where as we move forward, can we develop to the point where we have, two offensive line, a backup offensive line that can go in and, and you can not, you can still get out there and execute, at a high level. And just that way, every kid isn't playing 60 snaps up front. Right. And then the same thing, with every position, you look behind at our snipe position. Can you, play more guys, get a little bigger at the position, at tight end? Obviously we didn't have Cody this past week. So, being able to just build that depth, get a little bit more in our profile for what we feel like we need going forward with the things that we're doing offensively. That is a huge piece, and I'm guilty of, man, I get so focused on, trying to get a first down this weekend, right, that, we got to make sure we're multitasking those things. So we're spending some time on that this week.
And when you were a head coach, when you would bring in a new coordinator, a coach like yourself, would you hope that coach would open some new doors that maybe the current staff hadn't maybe had recruiting opportunities in before? And is that something that you offer maybe with your Georgia connections?
I hope so. Obviously I know the Georgia area pretty well. So whenever you hire a new coach, man, you want that guy to be a rock star in recruiting. That's a big deal. That's how you stay. That's how you stay alive in this profession. So hopefully, it's two things. It's being able to recruit that area because that has been the state of Georgia has been a great state for the Naval Academy. And then hopefully what we're doing and having success and winning games. That's your best recruiter is W's. Okay. It's your best recruiter. And so hopefully that is part of, a good formula for being able to attract, a few more guys.
Great. See you out of practice.
Thank you.
Anyone have anything else? All right. Thanks a lot, Coach.
All right.
Oh, wait,
Appreciate you guys.
one?
Yeah, I was going to just ask your thoughts on Blake and his health and, whether you think he might be able to go against East Carolina.
Well, I think the only way I know to do it, Wags, is hope for the best and prepare for the worst, right? And when I say that, I mean this is a great opportunity for us to develop depth. I hope, obviously we hope Blake can play. He's a good player, right? And you always want your starter to be able to play, but at the same time, ECU's not going to care whether he, if he's not playing, they're not going to take it easy on us. So we've got to get those other two guys ready to go to win the game. And that's our plan. So we're going to spend a lot of time thinking about how that gives us the best chance, what kind of situations we need to put them in, what, from a game plan standpoint, what do those kids do well, and what gives them a chance to go out there and play fast, So we'll have to see how that goes, right? As far as, is Blake going to be healthy? And I think we got to be fair to Blake. I think I think it's fair to say Blake has shown a lot of dadgum toughness. Okay, a lot. I think he's, been he hadn't been 100%, okay, for a while, and so I appreciate that kid. I really do. For being that kind of leader and showing that kind of toughness, and certainly it's favorable, obviously, to have a couple open weeks, one before each of the next games, okay, because that optimal time right there to get him healthy, right? If he can be healthy in 10 days from now, man, great. Okay. But those other two young men, we can go win with them. We can, got to go play good. We got to go play good. Winning is not turning the ball over. It's getting first down so you can stay on the field, and it's everybody doing their job. And so wouldn't it be awesome to go down there with those two kids and win that game? Okay, that'd be a great thing to do, and we can, and I believe in those guys. So it's a tough deal because obviously, Blake is a really good football player, and you want him out there. At the same time, the other guys got to step up, and because it can happen anytime, right? It happened Saturday, and we got to step up and we got to be ready to go. So I don't know if I'm probably dodging the question a little bit there, but I honestly not sure how it's, what's going to happen, and I'm going to prepare to not have it. That's kind of where I'm at.